Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Free Agents podcast. Back again for some more pre-agents, as today we are getting into the challenge, still real world road rules challenge, the Gauntlet, the first Gauntlet season. Got a lot to get into with all that today. Of course, I am Matt here, as always, with Brian Scally. Scally, how you doing?
Hello. I'm doing so well, excited, and honestly floored that we're already at season 7 of the challenge. Some moments that are seared into my brain as a young child today, but also extremely excited about who we will be talking about this season with.
Yes, a guest that is not Mel, because Mel's going to be here for part 3. So a new guest joining us here today who has turned his camera on for this audio-only podcast. It is Chappell. Chappell, how are you?
I prefer to go by Chappell got served for this podcast. Thank you. Yes. I will be standing in for Mel, my sister. Okay, cool. In this real world road rules fandom, I listen to the podcast every week, y'all, and I'm always so excited to hear y'all's opinion, but also to hear Mel's, because I know she was in the streets. She was in the trenches with us back in the real world road rules challenge days, before the challenge proper that we know today. And so I've been very excited listening, and I'm very excited to be able to join y'all this time so I can give my opinions about this season in particular.
Yeah, Chappell's been very happy that we've had Mel as essentially like babysitting us to make sure we're not getting all this stuff wrong every step along the way. But Chappell also somebody who had been watching these seasons in real time or just watching them over and over again, as I guess you were able to back then. Do you want to take it away with your specific version of your story of what these seasons were to you back then?
Yeah, for sure. Like Scally was saying earlier, watching this season in particular, it feels like the memories are flooding back to me. These are things that I've definitely saw. Like it's deeper than deja vu because you know for a fact that it happened. So it's like you're seeing it, and before the thing happens, you can already tell what the outcome is. That's how I feel listening to y'all talk about the real world road rules challenge from yesteryears. Because every time y'all mention somebody, I'm like, oh yeah, that is a thing that happened, and then I have to scrub my memory and think of all the other connecting lines between some of these castmates. So it's been very fun to hear y'all talking. There's obviously some seasons I'm more familiar with than others, some contestants I'm more familiar with than others, but the Gauntlet is kind of where I show up fully formed. I think it's like where I kind of like, hey, these are my people. I know these folks for sure. I might not know them from their original season, but from here on, these next few challenges, I think I was tapped in the most in my challenge fandom, but it starts here. And I think I went back and watched some of the older seasons and obviously the older episodes of the Real World and Road Rules as they would air on television and as they would become available online or on DVD, depending on the season. So I'm very excited because I feel like I'm home now, like I've been listening, and now I get to weigh in.
Yeah, I was just curious. I mean, I understand what you're saying about this is the season that you really feel like you jump in. But have you had any thoughts on the Mount Rushmore up until this point? Do you want a refresher of who's currently on there?
Yeah, please do, because I think I've listened to your Battle of the Sexes thing, but I don't think I finished the Mount Rushmore. So I don't know who actually landed on it for Battle of the Sexes.
Sure. So for the men right now, through Battle of the Sexes, through the most recent season we have fully covered, we have The Miz, Puck, Eric Nice, and Mark Long. And then on the women's side, we have Emily Bailey, Ellen, Ruthie, and Veronica. 3 of those names, which that all just jumped on to the all-time Mount Rushmore last season.
Yeah, Ruthie and Battle of the Sexes is one of the those are like a defining moment in me watching the challenge. I remember thinking, oh yeah, she's one of one. Like I want Ruthie on more seasons. That would be a mistake. Ruthie should live in the bubble that is Battle of the Sexes and these early seasons of the challenge, because we thought that she had moved away from some of her more problematic moments. And I think that's another thing about the challenge. In these early days, the challenge almost moves in a vacuum. Like it's like you could do something on the Real World and Road Rules, but if it's not challenge specific related, they won't even talk about it. They won't talk about the awful things that you said or did in the house. They'll just like, oh, well, now I'm competing. And so we'll move away from it. So young Chappell was confused and thought that Ruthie was well, and she just wasn't yet. She was on the road to being a better Ruthie, I will say. But I understand why she's on there. Now, Puck, can I have a second? Can I talk about Puck,
please?
So I know y'all talked about Puck a few times. Obviously, that's why he's on the Mount Rushmore. But Puck Rainey is someone I know very vividly. I remember watching Puck's first season of The Real World several times because it's one of the most iconic seasons of The Real World San Francisco. I actually just watched it a few years ago when RHAP was doing the reality TV Rewind, and I talked about that. And so I'm very familiar with Puck, and Puck is the worst. He sucks. And I'm so happy that he will be knocked off the Mount Rushmore very quickly. Like, he is not going to last much longer. And that's great because we don't need awful people on the Mount Rushmore right now. We're going to get a ton of them later on. So very happy to see Puck go. Some of the things that he's done, I mean, even just the reason he got kicked off of San Francisco, beefing with Pedro Zamora, who is one of the most beloved reality TV contestants of all time. Whatever the remarks may be, just everything that he did. I mean, he's a nasty individual to live with. He got kicked off his first season. You would think they wouldn't now bring this person to go live with people again. But no. MTV said, yeah, let's keep the party going. And so we will see that echo throughout challenge history where we have horrible people doing horrible things on their season. And then the challenge just looking over it and saying, just come party. And then eventually the challenge will do that within the challenge. People will do shitty things in the challenge, and the challenge is just going to ignore it for years and years and years to come. And so I'm very happy to be here for the start of the downfall of Puck Rainey, because he will not last on the Mount Rushmore as long as I have anything to say about it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that there are absolutely garbage people on the Mount Rushmore, and unfortunately, not the first, not the last, but his time will come.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I definitely don't think he's going to last too long. But, when it came down to that decision, it was just comparing him and his single season performance and memorability versus some of the other guys that were on there, your James Orlando's, and who else was it? David, that was on there as well. So just a little bit more there, but plenty more to get to in this season. And we'll see if even as soon as right now in the Gauntlet, we end up knocking him off by the time that we are done with this season. Scally, you want to set up where we're at here as we get back to Real World versus Road Rules for this new season, the Gauntlet?
Oh, yes. We are coming back in for season 7 of the challenge, returning to Real World versus Road Rules. The first ever Gauntlet season starts. And as we talked about, there were issues with the inner circle of the last few seasons. It was getting a little bit stale. It was a little bit predictable. And so for the first time ever, we are going to have eliminations on the challenge. People are coming in. One person from each team will get voted into the elimination, and someone will go home every week. But we are not yet divided by gender. Men versus women many times in the Gauntlet. It's a whole new format.
Whole new format for the eliminations to be added in. One thing that I learned right before this podcast, because I'm trying to do my best to not completely spoil myself as to what happens on the season, even though I'm looking at the Wikipedia pages, but that there is going to be a lifesaver that comes into play. We're only covering through episode 5 on this first part. No lifesaver there just yet. So they're obviously experimenting with different aspects of the format of the game and whatnot. Chappell, though, up to this point, the eliminations are just beginning. Any thoughts on where we're at so far with the challenge format?
Oh, yes. I love this because now we're going to start to see the parts of the challenge I think that y'all know best, which is how the social relationships outside of the game start to play in the challenge. Because now you have teams that are going to have to look at their friends that they know from outside the show and decide, am I going to have to vote against my friend? Is it for the good of the team, or do I keep my friend's relationship strong with me throughout? We're going to see that a lot with Mike and Coral through this season, and several other relationships that have developed outside of the show that now that they're being tested by the Gauntlet, people are starting to wonder, do I throw my friend into an elimination and possibly lose them and ruin our friendship, or do I save them and maybe pick on somebody who is weaker, or in this case, the women who will also fall victim to that line of politicking a lot in this season. This I think is where the challenge, the seeds of the challenge proper starts, right? It's where, we're going to see people, I think in the future, it's going to evolve to, we're just going to be friends with people who are good at the challenge. So that way we don't have to ever worry about that. We can all just bully the people who are not. And until they get good, and then when they get good, we can invite them in. But right now, people are making decisions that they've never had to make on the challenge before, and so this is where it's going to get very exciting. And I think the show really likes this, and it's going to lean into it moving forward.
And because there always was this defined point system before that they could fall back on, and sure, they did not always just eliminate who was ever at the bottom, but when they did, it was a nice, clean, agreeable way. Now we see that they try to implement something like that here, but bad feelings are going to be had. This is the first time where someone who gets voted out from the team could be returning to it, so it's going to be drama all around.
Yes. Scally, why are we in Colorado?
Budget, I don't know. I guess, like, why not, when this is what the season looked like? I don't think that they needed to go anywhere else, but I truly cannot tell you.
This is such a so we're just coming out of at least 2 or 3 seasons that were like in one for like specific location, and not in the 50 or the 48 states, on the main whatever you call it of the US. I don't know, there's a term for that. But we are going to see them here.
United States.
Yep.
I think that's what I was looking for.
I know.
Yes, this is going to be at a resort in Colorado, and I was also like, not just okay, we're in Colorado the whole time, whatever. But it seemed like for the first couple episodes, every challenge, of course, every gauntlet is going to take place at this gauntlet arena, but like all of the main challenges were also taking place there. Eventually, we're going to kind of stray away from that a little bit, but it felt like they were like, all right, we can just create the challenge. Essentially, again, arena, which is going to be a staple over the course of the rest of the challenge's history to have an elimination arena. But at first, it seemed like they thought that they could just do almost everything there, but not so much.
And I think this is one of like 2 or 3 times that the challenge is going to be in the continental United States. One other time I know is that they're in Nevada at some point. I think they really like the idea that we have them like in the middle of nowhere or like in the desert or something like that, because this area of Colorado, like they're really leaning into almost like a Western feel, it looks like Hey Dude, a little bit like the filter that they have on the intro video and all that stuff. And so I'm thinking it's that and maybe the Inferno 2 or something like that. One of those is like very like in New Mexico, I think. And and I just think it's so funny because you're right. Normally you get like a tropical locale or at least a trip, but they have these people up the street and around the corner.
Yeah, very interesting. They were apparently supposed to film this season in Middletown, Rhode Island, but apparently, according to the Wikipedia page, that a local judge had blocked it at request of local residents who thought it would be materially disruptive, and so it ended up filming in Colorado. Also, this season was nominated for a GLAAD Media Award for Outstanding Reality Program, according again to the Wikipedia page. So that is interesting. And the only other, note that I have here at the top is about the difference in what happens when a team wins this season. Chappell, we have seen for the past couple of seasons all of these different, you win a Razor scooter, you win a bike, you win a Saturn, you win another Saturn, you win another Saturn. And right now here, it's just no prizes of that sort so far. It's just been the winning team banks 10K each episode.
Yeah, I feel like a Saturn is coming. It just kind of feels like they're going to give one away eventually. But yeah, the every challenge you can bank 10K into the bank, and then you still have to put someone up for elimination. I love that. I love that you can go in and win, and we still have to look and say, all right, who are we willing to either to put up against somebody, or as the show will call it, sacrifice. And I think that's probably the best term, because it's going to start to seep into everybody's minds eventually that, yeah, getting put up in elimination is not some weird honor. We don't think you're the best competitor and we want to see you win and come back. We are sacrificing you to the gauntlet. You are going in there. You might not come back, and we're okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Scally, do you have any specific takeaways from as we get into like more in detail with these episodes we watched? Episode 0, this was another casting special. For me, it was pretty similar to last season's of it just went a little too quickly, and nothing that really was said in the or shown to us was not also shown throughout the first couple of episodes.
Yeah, I think what this casting special did a little bit better is it tried to set up some storylines. So it's like Theo has a crush on Elka, Katie and Trishelle are best friends. Like there are certain things here that I think are helpful. We find out that Dave and Kara are dating. So there's a couple things I think it does better. I also think I was just more interested because I knew more of these people. So finding out where they were at this point in their lives is like a good little time check for me. But I don't think it was a 100% necessary viewing experience either.
Right. Chappell, we had last season this exact same episode. Essentially, it was with Johnny Mosley, our host here currently, and Ruthie was co-hosting alongside of him. So we were like, oh, okay, Ruthie's a big character of the season, and here it's Coral. Coral is the co-host. So we already know Coral at this point in the challenge, specifically outside of just the real world, but she is getting that spot, the co-host spot.
The casting special is literally called Real World / Road Rules Coral: a guide to the Gauntlet. So yeah, they're trying to hoist her to the front, and probably, to whatever Mount Rushmore people are making, right? They're saying this is Coral's time. We're going to see that obviously she is a challenge winner at this point, and she's not going to let us forget it. But some of her performances from the past might not be able to carry her through this season, where people are going to be willing to sacrifice her to the Gauntlet, and she's going to think or hope that some of her prior interactions with people, her friendships, notably with The Miz, is going to make sure it keeps her safe for a while. And so, yeah, Coral is going to be a big character here, and she's going to remain a big character for a while in the challenge. So I'm very excited to see Coral, as she's always been one of my favorite people to watch on these shows.
She certainly is, creating this big legacy for herself all the way from the beginning here, that we know Coral to be such a big name in the show's history. And, as we talked about in the first season she was on, she was there. She was certainly a presence, but we ended up, not putting her on the overall Mount Rushmore just yet. It was like, okay, this feels like it'll happen at some point, but it's still kind of like slowly getting into it. Miz was the bigger character there, and they already have plenty of story here. We could just very easily start with the two of them, but I just really quickly wanted to ask if anybody knew the intro song for our new intro this season. I have it by name according to what Wikipedia says it's called, even though I couldn't find it anywhere with a Google search. Does anyone know the song well or at all?
No,
not me.
It's called, according to Wikipedia, the opening theme song is called "It's" by Ill Kid.
It sounds like a song that we would know from this era.
It does,
but
yeah.
No.
Nope.
I'm wondering if it was commissioned for the show.
That's entirely possible, just again because I can't find it anywhere.
I think so. I don't. Most of the songs that you will hear in these seasons of the Real World, we all know, because they kind of go toward like the top 40 songs. Yep. They love to lean into like really what's hot. It's MTV, so they're leaning into what popular music people are listening to. This is not a popular song people are listening to. I don't care what nobody says. So yeah, this song is probably never played again outside of this show.
Mm-hmm. So let us get into some of the things happening here, and I don't know. Maybe actually let's come back to Coral and Miz, because they're the episode 5 story arc here. There's a bunch of intros that we get as we get into episode 1, but the real story is going to end up being throughout this first episode the beginning, Scally, of the Sarah Grayson story here on the challenge, the Gauntlet.
Sarah Grayson, a one-time challenger who you still hear her name all the way to this day. So my eyes are really on her, trying to track exactly what Sarah is doing. And as we come in, Sarah has been on a Road Rules season with a few other people here, like Darrell, like I believe, is that it? Rachel. So she is coming in with a couple of relationships, but those relationships are not necessarily amazing. She is known for, I think she says, being lazy and a complainer and not the best competitor. So she is having to disprove these preconceived notions of her as she competes pretty well in this first opening challenge.
Yes, Chappell, do you remember Sarah Grayson from her original Road Rules season? She makes it sound, I mean, I obviously haven't seen it. She makes it sound like she had a very poor performance, and everybody around her seems to have this idea that she is just awful at this kind of game.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's like preconceived as being kind. I think Sarah's known for quitting a lot. Like in the Road Rules challenges, you have to complete them in order to get the wins and the points and all that good stuff. And C was just one of the people who was most likely to probably, not. And so going into this, of course, you have two people that you would think she had like a natural alliance with in Darrell and Rachel. But also, it's Darrell and Rachel. These are the worst two people to think that you have a challenge-based alliance with, because they love to win. They are the most competitive people, probably. I mean, they're not the most competitive on this cast. Rachel might be, but I don't think these are people who are going to be able to overlook your prior performance and say like, no, wait, yeah, she's great. Like, no, they're coming in and they'll be like, you got to prove yourself, or you got to go. So very early on, Sarah can see the writing on the wall that people might not necessarily want her there, or they only trust her to show up.
Yeah, the story for Sarah ends up being here that she is still viewed the same way that she, was expecting to be viewed coming out of her original season. Just people were not really looking to keep her around. Specifically, Rachel and Darrell have a scene, talking to one another about their strategy. And yeah, we may as well just get rid of Sarah now. She's going to be a weak link for our team throughout the entire thing here. So when we get to the first deliberation for the Road Rules team, Scally, we're talking about the points-based system. We can come back to that in a second. But it's going to end up being Sarah, Ronnie, and Latarian that get the most votes. They're kind of basing it on the performance of the challenge that we'll also circle back to. But Sarah, who ends up getting the most votes there and is put into elimination against David B, she is going to come out victorious, and nobody expects it.
Yeah, it's the start of a very interesting storyline for Sarah. She gets thrown in mostly based off of reputation. Now, in this first challenge, she does not perform the worst, and they claim that they'll be voting based on performance. So she goes in with something to prove. People are definitely rooting for her, but not really expecting the most out of her. So glad to see that once she does ultimately win this first elimination, she's given a little bit of a break to start.
Yeah, and she kind of disappears the rest of the episodes in this batch. Sorry, Chappell, what were you going to say?
Well, she's no stranger to being voted out, because she got voted out of the real world. So, like, she coming into this she's the only person who got voted out of her season, I believe, because she was just like, I want to just chill in the RV. I don't want to play. Like, I don't want to get to know y'all. So
can I pause that there? So we know that Hisela had also been eliminated from her season of, I believe, Road Rules, right? So was it just like every season they voted out one person?
I think so. Or I don't know if it's every single season, though, Scally.
It was based on, I know at least later seasons of Road Rules, it was like, if you fail 2 missions, your penalty was you're going to have to eliminate someone. So, yeah, you had to, if you did them all well, then congratulations, no one's getting voted out. You can all stay. But if you start failing missions, then, you could end up voting out half your cast.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so Sarah, as we said, is going to win this elimination. Just to like circle back to this challenge here, snake soup. What'd you think, Chappell? All of them in the pool. Basically, well, Chappell, did you watch this elimination on season 40? Did you get that 40? Far in season 40 to see Cara Maria versus Tori?
I mean,
they tread water in the middle of the wall. Yeah, okay, yeah, I saw that. They had to tread water all night, right, or something like that after they counted the coins.
Would you say that they've done this more often?
No, I was saying treading water, not necessarily the snake soup of it all, but close.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that. Treading water sounds like okay, but then you throw in the snakes and that's supposed to freak people out, and it does. But like, I don't know. Now that I'm an adult, and I'm like, older, and I'm, looking at it, I'm like, this is did anybody ask the snakes if they were okay? Like, damn, y'all just like snakes are not amphibious, like please get them out of the water. They just, they don't, I just like, to me, putting the snakes in ice cold water, I'm like, we didn't need to do this. Just make you tread water. Just tread the water. It'll be okay.
It seems to me like the ice cold water, which is, I believe, 48 degrees, is the much bigger issue here. All the snakes are thrown in giant clumps. So I don't know if they're just tangled or if they're huddling for warmth, because they are cold-blooded animals. Their bodies are like shutting down. They don't have the energy, and people are just swatting at them. So I don't think that this was necessarily well thought out.
No. It ends up, of course, showing right away just who is... it gives everybody on both teams a good base to kind of like immediately judge how everybody's going to be performing those. So as we talked about, some people are going to be looking at performance, as kind of always on this show so far, and saying who performed the weakest, and can we use that to use as a specific reason to target you. David is going to be the person to really have to face the music there. He is not a water guy. He is not a swimming guy. So when he is put into this pool, before I think the snakes even become a big factor, he is quickly out of there, and he ends up in this elimination against Sarah. We just met David last season on the challenge, Chappell, and this is going to be the end of the road for him here. Overall.
Do y'all know David from outside of the challenge
Yes.
at all? Y'all remember like his viral video where he was singing?
Uh-huh.
I don't.
Oh, that's a thing. That's a thing. I won't like send you the clip right now, but David has some interesting internet moments when it comes to his vocal performance. But yeah, he's one of the first people out. So obviously they're looking at him as he's a big guy. So if the challenge is, if the gauntlet is one-on-one type situation, he might have a good chance of coming back. But then also, if we're looking at challenge performance, he didn't do great. So there's multiple reasons to put him in. But you're right, Matt. We do kind of get like a little glimpse of how each of them is going to perform, and we get a little personality from each of them as well. We see Abram is going to get DQ'd immediately from the challenge. Well, not, immediately into the show, I guess I would say, because he's pushing the snakes out of the way. They told him they could gently move them, but I guess not in the way that Abram was doing them. And so he will get DQ'd, and that will be a pattern in Abram's challenge career where he will just break the rules or get voted out or assault people on television, and the challenge will keep bringing him back. Yeah. And so I was again, the memories just come flooding back into my mind when I see Abram being like, yeah, I was kicked off my season for getting in a fight, and now here I am breaking the rules all over again. I don't need to spoil anybody by saying like I hate Abram so much. And so this guy sucks. Mel wanted me to make sure Mel wanted me to make sure I brought up the reason why he got put off of his season, him fighting Donnell after making a racist comment about Donnell eating cornbread. And then when Donnell asked him, was that racist? He said, yes, it was. Now, the argument starts because basically he was being homophobic. And then Donnell called him out about it. And then the racism came out. And so all that to say, Abram is a character and he will be here for a while.
Yeah. Oh, so they just said now that Puck is not going to come back, we'll just take Abram and fill that slot.
They're looking for controversy. I think back then the challenge is really looking for people who embody this idea of, different walks of life and what happens when we put them all in a house together. And Abram, to his credit, I will say this, he did not enjoy being on Road Rules because he felt like people weren't really open to like his points of view. Obviously, him being a little bit more ignorant and closed-minded to the world, he wasn't having a good time. And so he repeatedly said, like, I don't like this. Now, why he would come back, I don't know. But they seemingly wanted him. And so we're going to get fireworks from Abram for seasons to come.
Yeah. Yeah. So we haven't gotten a whole lot else from Abram here besides him like beating the Miz in a wrestling match, which was, I guess, a little surprising as the Miz has started wrestling school. But also Abram is out of his mind in many ways. So, a scary person to be wrestling with in general.
The thing is, the Miz knows how to play by the rules of wrestling. Abram will break your arm. Like, I would also not push it.
Exactly.
Yeah, he sucks. One of the arguments I think in Road Rules was that he didn't believe in interracial relationships. He just felt like it was natural for white people to date white people and for people to date within their race. And it was something that was challenged throughout the season. Eventually, he will go on to date Coral, which is obviously going to go up against his, his thoughts. So people thought, oh, look, he's learning, he will go up and date Coral. Mel pointed out in my DM, she had to remind me of this quote that we get from Abram, which is something like, I don't see color. The only color I see in Coral is love, or something to that effect. So, I threw up a little bit in my mouth, but fine. and then he goes on to marry a black woman too. So Abram out here beating all of the allegations in his mind.
There are many allegations.
Many
allegations.
Allegations. Also,
everyone stay away from Abram.
Yeah, please. Yes. That's another funny allegation is that I believe it was alleged on Twitter once that Coral and Abram in the middle of an argument, she like drove her car into a tree while they were dating. And it was like, she was like, they like alleged that Coral did that and she never disputed it. So that's another toxic relationship that you will see develop over these years in the challenge.
Fantastic. Yeah. So, really just getting our feet wet with some of these people, like an Abram and really like a Coral for the most part here. Scally, what do you think? Scally, what do you think of these two teams? their strategies as we learn them early on. Road Rules has the point system they're going to put into place, specifically Steve puts into place, and Real World can't quite figure out exactly what they want to do.
I actually really like the point system in theory. It's kind of very Big Brother Australia coded in terms of how they're doing their nominations over there. So I like the point system in theory. Now, the problem is they just use it to target all the women. And I think that is a larger issue with the formatting of this challenge, and we'll get there as we go. I think that there's like a happy medium, probably, because the Real World team, which is deciding just to have open forum discussions, is also leading to some very hurt feelings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of hurt feelings over there, that just votes are flying everywhere. People are, being mentioned by name all over the place, not just in this first episode. It takes them a while to continue figuring out what exactly they want to do. Matt versus Elka later on is going to be a thing. So even this early on, we end up having the vote for the Real World team be a 10-4 vote, that David gets picked to go in over, was it Matt, right? That was the other one that was getting votes here. I believe so. And so David ends up going in and goes home. We have to mention Matt. He's a pretty big character in these early episodes, Chappell.
Yeah, we do. Matt is here to evangelize and to save all of these sinners in the Real World house. And they don't like that. They're like, sir, we're going to vote you out. I think Coral says, I love Matt. I hope they get him a nice first-class seat on the way back home. He needs to get out of here. Matt is hilarious because, he showed up here for all the wrong reasons. He really thought like, hey, I'm going to take my Christian act on the road. And he had been doing that, prior to this. And he felt like this is a good place to amplify my message. However, this house is full of debauchery and awful people, and they are not going to stand by and let you save them or shame them. And he's doing all of those things. And so, he barely scraped by. But his ally, David, is the person who takes the brunt of this. David will go in. Now, Matt and David obviously were both from the same Real World season. So when David gets eliminated, he does tell Matt, like, could you like chill? Because otherwise you're going to be next. And so we will have to see if Matt's able to lower his profile moving forward.
Yeah, Matt sucks. Matt still sucks as of this homecoming season that he did. I do not like
he
Matt.
Was on recently?
They did Real World Homecoming for New Orleans.
God.
If you didn't watch that, you need to watch that bad.
I did not watch that.
Hard to watch now. They took it off Paramount Plus, but you should
No!
have watched that. Matt sucks. Matt is caught in one moment, metaphorically with his pants down, would never be caught actually with his pants down, as he quote unquote has morals. Right. But he is talking about how he feels bad for girls with boob jobs because now all of a sudden men are interested in them that aren't before, and obviously they get these boob jobs for men, and all of these like very misogynistic comments that he is making as Tanya stands there watching him dig his grave further and further and further, and then says, oh, Matt, I have a boob job. Did I do it for a man? What do you think of me? And watches as he does hold firm in the comments that he was saying, but still, is speaking about them in a less blunt way. I think that the team is very much not vibing with Matt off of the bat. He does fade into the background a little bit over these couple of episodes, but that undercurrent is always there.
Yeah, he gets on Elka's bad side. I kind of mentioned this a little bit where she is going to have an injured knee a couple episodes in. And so he's looking at her. Elka, through 2 seasons, certainly not a name that I remember, or I guess knew at all coming into this rewatch. When I watched these seasons for the first time, I guess I said, okay, this is a person that was on the old seasons that I don't need to think about ever again, because she doesn't come back after, I believe, this season. I think we got that wrong last time she was on. But the point being that Matt is going to say her name. She seems very beloved, not just by Theo, who still has a very big crush on her, and it's just going to be Matt collecting enemies along the way, putting his foot in his mouth, and really just putting himself in a bad spot right now. Through 5 episodes, he's still here, but we'll see how much longer that can last. So that is what's going on over there. But what else is there in this first episode? Do we have any? Well, there was a lot going on at the house, of course, all the intros and whatnot. We see the bathroom, Chappell. I have to imagine you have something to tell us that was on your mind.
Bathroom?
About the bathroom, specifically the bathtub with the shower right next to it. This bathroom is probably like the number one most iconic challenge bathroom.
Oh yeah. This is the one you're gonna get all the clips of, right? Because it's the
Mhm.
one that gives the most debauchery. You got five people in the tub, and then you got Veronica behind the like foggy bathroom glass and like writing on there, "Real world sucks." Yeah, this is going to be one of those bathrooms that if you watch this, you haven't forgotten it, because the show is trying to give you the idea, even in the preview episode, right? In the cast or whatever, the big preseason episode, they're trying to give you like, this is a show that's going to have threesomes and hot tubs and blurred out nudity. They brought in Trishelle, for God's sakes, so they're like, we're bringing in all the stops. And so I think that's why the bathroom stands out to me, is that you could tell where they wanted to go with the show, and it will go there for a while. I think we're in that era of the real world where it's like, no, have a little fun. This is going to be a party. They call it a frat house a couple times, and I'd probably echo those sentiments. It gets a little debaucherous in the house.
Mm-hmm. And Scally, as we get into the second episode, more specifically with this scene of 4 of them in the bathtub, I don't think all of them were completely naked, as far as we could tell. Veronica, though, but so scandalously was, as she was showering right next door. Like it's a clear shower, so that's what they make a big deal out of it by showing us that early on. And so some people are going to be fine to go in there however they desire, and maybe some people covered up with a bathing suit, who knows. But specifically, we get a highlight here from one former Mount Rushmore contestant here, the very, very old 28-year-old Montana, who is just not sure what to do with all these kids.
She can't handle it. She has aged out. Her money doesn't come from the challenge anymore. She's a real adult, and she can't relate to these young children on the challenge. It is so interesting because people are now debuting older than Montana on the challenge. We are having 40-year-olds debut on the challenge these days, it feels like. So to hear Montana talking about how she's just too mature to appear on this show is very funny. I do feel like there is definitely a little bit of an energy shift. I don't think that by the number of years, Montana is all that much older than other contestants. But if there are like 23-year-olds versus 28-year-olds, like that is only 5 years, but it's a big 5 years for a majority of people who are doing a lot of growing up in that time. And Montana seems to have kind of grown out of the challenge, despite the fact that we will see her again in the future.
Yes, just so old, just so incredibly old at age 28. Chappell, again, this is someone who was on our Mount Rushmore just based on one season that she did, that she was a pretty standout character from. And we're about to talk about her elimination episode here. She is 2 episodes and out the door here on the Gauntlet.
Yeah. I really wish I could defend Montana here, but like she just reads so much older. Like, I know she's 28, but dear God, like she is like I'm a grandma. It's like, yeah, I believe it. Like the way she's acting is, it's so elderly in comparison to everybody else. But yeah, such a fall from grace. Like you said, she will be back, but she is not going to touch the Mount Rushmore ever again. This challenge that she goes out with, she doesn't expect to be the one put into the Gauntlet, but she is going to be one of the first victims of. It's not really about how you do, it's who you know. And so Coral, Irulan, and Montana do the worst in the pool challenge, right? They're still going off the challenge from last week because that's the one that they could judge everybody by. And so since they were the first 3 out of the pool, obviously it has to be one of them. Now, Mike's best friend is Coral, and Alton is dating Irulan. And so who is going to put their neck out on the line for Montana? Nobody. So she is the one who will go in, and she thinks she has a good chance at this. She will find out that she is going to lose.
And yeah, a little bit of smoke is blowing up her ass, which she calls out of like, Montana, we think you can win. You're going to go in there and you're going to come back.
They keep doing that
we're sending you in.
They're doing that for almost everybody. Not literally everybody. Some people are kind of getting it, but they're trying to just make it seem like, we need you for the team to go in and fight for us. And Montana definitely one of the first people to get that. It's just like, come on, be so for real.
No, she calls it out. She's like, I'm mad because don't lie to me. You are sending me in here because of connections and because you're willing to lose me if that's the case. You guys are all talking about how much it sucks that we've lost David. We thought that he would go in there and win and he didn't. And now you're just willing to sacrifice me. And Mike is like, yeah, but it's hard to tell you that we don't care if you go home.
Right. I'm with Mike. What? So lock me up for having a social game, Montana. What do you want us to do? Be like, Montana, we hope it's you, so you can come back and start throwing competitions or something like that. Like, man, we need you to like, yeah, you're fine. Go win so we can win some more money, but we don't need you coming back bitter. We will see what happens when people come back bitter. They start looking upside their heads, Katie. And so, yeah, I hear her. She's not wrong, but lady, the show is calling you a sacrifice. They're saying, who do you want to sacrifice to the gauntlet? They're saying the quiet part out loud. We don't have to echo that. Go in, win, and come back so that we don't have to talk about this anymore. Maybe if you win and come back, we push you to the bottom of the pecking order, and maybe you don't have to be next up to go back in. Who knows? But what does she really want them to say? Like, yeah, Montana, it's you. There's nothing you can do. We hope you lose. Yeah, that's not really how these games are played.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, Scally, the reason, of course, that Montana is considered, if you're actually pretending that it's based off of challenge performance, is because they're still looking at the first episode's challenge. The second episode has a challenge called Masquerade that highlights basically nobody's performances here. It's a puzzle that is done in about 10 minutes, if not sooner.
Yeah, everyone is like, oh, even an idiot can figure out this puzzle, and then the real world just struggles very greatly. It is one team puzzle that only like 2 people can work on at a time. It's done extremely quickly by the Road Rules challenge. Real world never really stood a chance, which only really matters in the fact that Road Rules banks $10,000. They're both still going to have to send someone in. As we've said, Coral saying that it should be either her, Irulan, or Montana. It was always going to default to Montana, but Road Rules gets a little more dramatic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that does stand out, Matt, though, is that in this challenge, it's the puzzle challenge, right? But we don't really see anybody shine in the challenge per se, but it's not a great look for Coral. She's in on the puzzle. Her and Tanya are in there bullshitting. And so, again, we're still going off of the pool challenge, but Coral is starting to develop a reputation for somebody who's not so clutch, prior to the episode where she will eventually go into the gauntlet.
Yeah. Well, obviously so much more to get into with Coral along the way, but she and her lack of good performances so far are really going to be a big storyline that I wouldn't have expected coming into any season that Coral's competing on, to hear people saying, oh, Coral is our weak link. So very blown away by that. But this challenge doesn't end up meaning much. So the discussions, go back to at least for the most part here, the first challenge and who did badly there. I guess one of the bigger stories that we're going to pick up here is specifically Chappell. You had mentioned her, Katie Doyle, and her origin story here on the challenge, and origin story as far as this season is concerned, with how she is going to get voted into an elimination very early on.
Oh yeah, this is it's like sitting back and smoking like a cigarette. Like, oh yeah, it's a Katie storyline, It's
which
just,
Katie is apt to do,
right? Which is like, you have to do it in honor of Katie. This is Katie. Like, if you are a fan of Katie, then it's because you were there for this kind of stuff. Where Katie comes in, she's fun, she seems like she's a good time, but she's a sore loser. And she also doesn't really suffer fools. She doesn't stand for BS. And so in the same way Montana's being like, I feel like y'all are blowing smoke up my ass, Katie's going to say that, but like different. She's going to say that, and she's going to make sure that you understand that she doesn't like it, that she doesn't like you. And she's going to wish ill on people in the game, and even start to maybe even dislike the people on her team and start to make friends with the other team. So Katie, this is the start of the Katie legacy. Nothing she does in this episode is not like Katie. This is fully formed Katie Doyle, and I'm so happy that I got to be here for her popping in. But Scally, I know you're a big Katie guy.
Yeah, I've been waiting to hear what Scally has to say here.
I love Katie so much. They're like, Katie, you unfortunately have been voted in. She's like, screw this, I'm going home. Katie is immediately, I'm not getting embarrassed getting eliminated in front of 18 people or how many people there are tomorrow. I'm done. I don't care. Like, we have people like Adam saying that she needs to stay. She says, no, I'm a sore loser. Veronica, don't even lie to me. I know you voted for me. Like, she's just yelling at everyone on our team, and it's amazing. It is what I've been waiting for. I'm so happy that Katie Doyle Cooley is finally here. I love her so much. Even with Veronica being like, all right, Katie, slur your words. Like, it is just absolutely wild that we are starting with the fights here.
And
it's the start.
It coolly off a little bit, because eventually after she wins this elimination, she is going to kind of realize, maybe if I tone it down a little bit, I can kind of work back into a decent spot. That's not going to be the case, because by the end of these 4 episodes, we are going to lose Katie, very sadly. But this episode and this moment like cements her legacy as cements her as a possible person who could have a legacy going forward on the show. And she's going to be back many times, even as recent as the most recent season of the challenge that any of us have watched right now, All Stars 5. Her and Veronica are on that season as a rivals pair. And it dates back to this. It dates back to the very beginnings of Katie's time on the show, with exactly what you guys are talking about, this argument where after Katie wins the elimination, she comes back in, and we'll say goodbye to Montana in a second. She is going to still be really hot with everybody else. She is not happy.
It's so funny. She's like, I hate everyone on my team just as much as they hate me. If I go home, I'm rooting for real world. Like, it's so funny. Katie cements herself as someone who should be called back every season, despite being eliminated very early. It would have been very easy to lose Katie's number in many other scenarios had she not had this exact reaction. And this is why she comes back.
Yeah, and Katie and Veronica are a rivalry that will span the test of time. This is not a rivalry that was like, okay, this happened, she didn't really like her, and we're never going to put them together. Katie literally says in this episode, I hope to hang out with some of you later on. There are some of you that I never want to see ever again in my life. And they cut to a clip of Veronica and Tina and Rachel. And we will go on to see Katie versus Veronica and Tina and Rachel for the next decade or two. It's so good.
And Veronica makes this whole point about how, they should keep sending. I think she's talking about she wants to send in the weaker players to the Gauntlet. But of course, the problem ends up becoming that the men of the Road Rules team just want to keep sending in the women, because to them, the weakest equals the women. And lots more to get into with that horrible strategy, or horrible to watch strategy, if nothing else, is that, you would think that maybe, I guess it's too early on for us to feel like Veronica should be defending Katie, because they see how this is going, what direction this is going to go in. There's just a lack of, I don't know, these two don't vibe. They don't like each other very early on. So Veronica, I don't know, seems like she's being a little bit inconsistent with what she's saying versus what she actually wants to enact. And Katie is, I feel like, correctly calling that out. But look, when two bad bitches go to war, this is what we get: entertainment.
Yeah, and Veronica is a vet by this time. Veronica has been on how many seasons of the challenge by this point? I think at least 2. So like she's from see what, 4? So she's coming in. She can call Katie weaker than her, even though physically they might be matched, because she is like actually battle tested, right? She was on Battle of the Sexes, Battle of the Seasons. Like, she's been in the trenches before, so she can really pick on somebody like Katie, because like she has the connections to be able to stand and say like, oh, let's get rid of the weaker people. She's just mean like, not me. And then once we run out of the Katies of the world, that's when we like, wait, we just can't vote out all the women. We could when it was Katie, but not everybody. And so, again, this starts very early on. And like I said, I'm just so happy I got to be here, because I forgot this is where we get the beginning of this.
Remind me, do we get more Katie and Trishelle, because they have a little bit of backstory here that they were both posing for Playboy back here at this time. They were both on All Stars 1, were they not? Did they like reconnect? I just can't remember.
I thought they had a fight.
Don't overlap at some point again. Trishelle only does a couple more challenge seasons, but I have to imagine.
No, but specifically All Stars 1, I feel like they were both on, and I just can't remember if the drama had anything to do with one another on that season.
They're both on the next season of the challenge. So
All Stars 1?
No. They're both on like the next season, the Inferno.
Okay. Well, I'm still talking about All Stars. I'm trying to figure out where they are today.
No, they had a fight in All Stars
never
1.
came back after All Stars 1.
Right.
Yeah, and they had like a fight. That's the only I think that's the only All Star season I watched. They were like yelling at each other.
Is that who Trishelle fought with?
Yeah. It was Katie.
That's
that
what
was
I couldn't
thing.
Remember. That's what I can't remember.
Because they were like, we came in as friends. yeah, they came in as friends, and then I think it was like, I think they were telling Katie like it was her who was up for elimination, and then Katie started lashing out like Katie does. It was something to that effect. But yeah, apparently they're not even cool anymore.
Okay, yes. So I'm glad the memory that was somewhere in there is a correct one.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do we want to like keep going and kind of close the book on Katie? We already talked about how she gets eliminated. She again, I feel like she kind of settles back in a little bit, but despite being able to avoid the elimination arena for the next round, is going to be thrown back in the round after that and ends up getting eliminated against who I keep putting in my notes as Rachel number 2.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Katie is accused early in episode 4 of leaking secrets to the real world team. And she's like, nope, absolutely did not do that. To which Kara's like, I heard you talking to alternate airline, telling them exactly about the 3-2-1 strategy. So what we just accused you of, you're denying. Katie's like, I don't even understand the strategy. I don't know what it is. It's so confusing. So what does that help really? No,
I mean, I'm with Katie. I'm with Katie though. But what's
Katie?
Yeah, but Scally, well, how is this like a secret that's going to they're doing the 3-2-1. Now we can blank. Like what can you do with that information?
I agree. The problem is that I think there's an agreement to not share anything about the team. They don't want to talk about, even if it's just like the drama of the team, the strategy of the team, anything like that. I think that they were thinking maybe the real world is having much more controversy in their talks because they don't have as an amazing of a system as the 3-2-1 strategy where everyone could just secretly vote in the women. But it is, just an excuse to go after Katie, basically.
Yeah, I think Chappell, I think you were the one that was specifically flagging this up as far as Veronica and Tina and Rachel. This is the first season of the 3 of them together, and we are also going to lose Tina by the end of these couple of episodes. So it's just the beginning for the 3 of them. But they definitely are forming this little clique here, which will, at least today, be affectionately known as the Mean Girls. And Katie, again, is just a very big target in their eyes, somebody that they are not getting along very well with, to say the least. So
this season is so important. If you were if you could put multiple people on the Mount Rushmore at points, you could put the Mean Girls as a faction. Yep. Like they could be one spot on the Mount Rushmore. That starts here, and it starts just how you would expect it to. It's Veronica being mean, Rachel kind of having Tina's back despite all odds against Tina, and Tina not showing up in a challenge. And it's literally what happens here. Tina is the first one out of the Mean Girls Club. Rachel, of course, is like, I don't like that. Y'all picking on Tina. And everybody's like, well, I thought we were getting rid of the weak people. And Tina said she could do this, and then she lost. What do you want us to do? But Rachel's not going to stand for it, and this will be a pattern. And again, this will follow them for the next 2 decades. This will be a thing. It's so good.
Yeah, it's really good. And again, unfortunately, Katie is the one who's going to be on the opposite side of this. When she goes home here in episode 4, Confessionals leader through 5 episodes here, not even just the 4 episodes.
Yeah. And Mount Rushmore spot is coming. Go on.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it. Yeah, no, well deserved. Confessional queen.
Yeah. Anybody have anything at all on Rachel number 2, who actually is Rachel? What is her last name?
Rachel B.
Rachel B. Yeah, Rachel. Braband. From the real world back to New York. Does anyone know this person? One-time only challenger, in any way, shape,
I did not watch that season personally.
Okay,
I did watch that season, but I do not remember Rachel at all. I don't remember her at all.
She comes up from time to time throughout these first couple of episodes as well, besides just the fact that she goes in. When she ends up going in this episode, the whole team is just very confused as to what to do, because again, and they haven't totally nailed down a strategy. Coral's talking about how it feels like up until this point, the women were being picked on. And they just, again, need to do the whole, we need a strong player to go in, someone who can come back and win. And Rachel B is going to end up somewhat falling for that and being like, yeah, I can do it. I'll take one for the team. So she goes in and she beats Katie and ruins my day. But it is what it is. So that's Katie.
When Rachel goes in, it is Rachel, and I think this was one of the more genuine, Rachel, you're limber, you're the strongest girl on our team, we need you to go in there and turn this streak around. And I think that was pretty genuine. I think that Rachel seems to have been competing at least decently, as far as you could tell from 30-second challenges that they've been competing in. So Rachel, a quiet character, but a decent competitor so far.
Yes.
Look, I know you're trying to get done with this, but I have to drag you back. We didn't talk about Tanya.
Oh no, we are not skipping ahead. We were just saying goodbye to Katie.
Okay.
Don't worry.
I'm like, I know we're saying goodbye to Katie, but I gotta drag it back to Tanya.
and we'll drag it back to Tanya in a second. But we also need to drag it back to Montana, unless anyone has. Do we have anything else on Montana? Because we didn't officially say goodbye as we were celebrating Katie.
Bye, Montana.
She lost the bull riding competition. She lost it, and your name is Montana, girl. Okay, fine. Like that's the one thing you're supposed to be able to bring to the table if your name is Montana. And she lost to Katie.
She was so confident. She was like, "There's no way I'm gonna lose this," and then she loses to Katie, who everyone just has like no respect for as a competitor. And Katie wins her first elimination. Montana, again, former challenge Mount Rushmore for us here, is just out so quickly. She is just so elderly. She can't hang out with hang with the rest of these kids. And you guys also mentioned she will be back, but I can't imagine it's going to be enough to get her back into like the legendary conversation. Yeah. So
Montana stayed on the Mount Rushmore too long, is what I'm starting to think after this.
Yep. She had no place. She had no place in this sorority of a Mount Rushmore. Montana. Also, I have to say it, Montana. That haircut is why people think you're old. I was like, whose aunt is that in the house like this? I was like, does she have a baby too? You know, like,
right. Enough bringing babies this season. We bring our aunt.
Right. I was like, God, Montana, it's your fault. Why are you wearing that hair? I also have to talk about Theo Von's Ryan Cabrera haircut. There's too much hair going on.
And his eye patch again.
Oh my
Last
God.
time it was a sticker. Now it's a eye patch. I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah. Like I was trying to be professional, but yeah, Montana, please. You did this to yourself.
Yeah. No, please. Why would you ever be professional around here with us? So let's and one more thing. Sorry, Chappell, before we get to Tanya, I know you're ready to get there. But the episode 3 that we're gonna start to get into some more of this stuff. Trishelle takes a tumble.
Ooh,
iconic.
Yeah.
Scally, I know you remember this.
Oh, I remember this so well. Trishelle's face being busted up because they decided to go mountain biking one day off camera. Trishelle takes a tumble over the handlebars of her mountain bike. It was apparently her first time ever on a mountain bike, which feels bizarre, but I do feel for Trishelle. She ends up in the hospital. The entire cast shows up. She really appreciates it. But this is the start of Trishelle and the Miz getting a little bit closer. He's sticking around. He's joking with her. He's helping take care of her. This is I'm putting a point in this one.
Matt, were you familiar with the storyline for Trishelle?
I remember her face.
Exactly.
I just that's all it needed to really. That's all I needed to be refreshed on.
Exactly. That's the thing that makes this so iconic, is that her face will look like that for the remainder of the season. Like Trishelle looks like she got in a fight with that mountain bike and lost. And I guess for all intents and purposes, she did. And so, yeah, the moment they said Trishelle fell off the mountain bike, I screamed because I knew what was about to happen next. And we cut to Trishelle's face. And I'm like, man, again, Trishelle just so early on, really like just having such the hardest time getting going here on the challenge. But yeah, an iconic look, iconic moment.
I mean, I have to give her credit because like Trishelle of today would be out in 2 seconds. You know, she would be gone.
Oh, she's not doing that
if this happened. But here her face looks like this, and she's like, no, I want to stick around. Like she thinks does she get told she has a concussion, let alone the black eye? Like I don't know how she was medically able to be there still. But she through 5 episodes is still competing looking like that and banged up as she is.
We are not taking concussions seriously in the year 2000. Like that's not happening. It is. At least she got told to sit out of the competition where they run and smash their heads all into each other. So that was good. I was impressed that the medical team actually cared enough to do that. It is definitely very memorable, Trishelle's fall, but I'm impressed. She sticks around.
Yeah, she's a different Trishelle. Like the early stages of Trishelle, she was kind of like a country bumpkin. She was from Cut Off, Louisiana. So like the early stages of her when she was on the Real World, she's like, I'm Trishelle and I never dated a man who doesn't have a lift kit on his truck, you know. And so now we know like glammed up super mom, you know, rich white lady Trishelle. But back in the day, she was one to get down with the mountain bikes and stuff.
Traders winner Trishelle.
There you go.
Scally, I have bad news here. So we have been talking about through a couple of seasons some of these challenge men in their old in the old days of the challenge and their attractiveness, and at least for me, I've talked about maybe it's not computing to me as well because it's all these years later. I unfortunately found the first man on the challenge that I've been attracted to in a significant way at this point, and it's not a good pick. It's not a good pick.
Oh my God.
It's coming up here because of Trishelle being
on,
involved in the conversation, and apparently she dated Adam Larson, who is very hot back in the day
here.
Hilarious.
I'm so sorry.
You're wrong.
No.
This is
Adam Larson shows up here with a whole beard situation that he didn't have before, and I'm like, oh, hello.
Yeah, he's a good-looking man. That's something that we're not.
I mean,
able
look, he's
to
not ugly today, but like you know,
doesn't he look the same?
The facial hair is gone.
His opinions are ugly.
His opinions are ugly. He probably had the same opinion back then, but you know, different, whatever. So I don't know. Unfortunately, that's like the first official pick for me on the Hot Men Challenge Mount Rushmore. But
I would love to track this.
Yeah. Maybe along the way. So I don't think that had anything to do with anything besides the fact that I had a note about Adam and Trishelle having dated. So, you know, mentioning that on the heels of Trishelle discussion. Chappell mud bath is the challenge here that Trishelle is told she has to sit out of, and that Tanya is going to get very injured in alongside half the cast.
Everybody gets injured in this challenge, and you would think the challenge would say, we should stop doing stuff like this. But they say, no, nay, we won't. We won't stop. We're going to keep concussing people and having people bruised and battered and bad knees. And we're going to keep asking them to compete. And then we're also going to punish them for when they get injured. So it's like you said, a lot of people get injured, including Tanya. And Tanya, like, I think she has probably the worst injury that we can see. I'm sure that there's probably some internal injuries that people have, maybe some knocks over the head, because this is a violent challenge. It's like musical chairs, but they have to go get these huge like rubber balls and like make sure like they get them out of the mud in time. And so we're seeing like basically the real world is just outmatched. They're outnumbered as well. Like they don't have to see anybody out because of this. And so because of the number advantage and the fact that they're just outmatched, very quickly it looks like Tanya is going to be in danger because they're going to want to throw somebody in who can win, or they're going to be able to throw somebody in that will probably lose or weaken the team and strengthen the team by going. And so Tanya's bad knee, you wouldn't want somebody like that in the future in one of these types of challenge. So she's going to be one of the first people that people look at to vote out.
Unfortunately, Mud ball is a challenge in which they all have to run in and there will be less balls available than people competing and they have to escape the zone.
Wait, is it mud ball or mud bath?
Mud bath, you're right.
Well, but no, because I had written down mud bath and I was like, wait, mud ball would be a much better name.
It would be a better name. But you know what? I'm sorry. I really like mud bath. It is something that we've done, I think, with like a little bit better, because these are just like giant like bouncy balls, I forget, like yoga balls, and everyone is crashing into the center. The balls are flying everywhere. They're all hitting each other in a way that I feel like this is even more unsafe than we usually see it. For me, in modern challenge, so many of the unsafe challenges are like you are wrestling off of a truck and you fall the wrong way into a net, and so like that doesn't appeal to me. At least we're getting hurt for something interesting here. So this appeals to my like Coliseum early human brain.
Oh my God, Scally! Like 5 people got injured, and Scally's like, "It's fine.
This is the best.
Fine. It was interesting."
I'm not saying they should bring it back, but
I mean, they will. Yeah, they definitely
will. I'm sad. It was fun.
R.I.P. Mud Bath.
This is a wild take because this was so dangerous. This was so dangerous.
So dangerous.
They all got so hurt. It's not just, the people that had to get medical treatment, but some of them are just, cuts everywhere, bruises literally everywhere. And it just takes your entire cast and puts half of them like limping through the next however many episodes. Hopefully they're better by the time you get to the end of your season, but you're on episode 3. So look, I hope the Coliseum aspect of it was worth it. It was for Scally, but hope it was worth it for production.
Listen,
football is the #1 show in our country.
How dare you? How dare you? He like turns the gun on me. Listen, Matt, I'm going to defend Scally a little bit. Sometimes you watch these older shows and you look at things that you normally don't like in present day and you think, hey, Adam Larson's attractive, and so I think that this is his version of that.
Okay. Fair enough. We all have our things. But yeah, when it comes to Tanya specifically, it is funny the way that, like, I think Nathan is the one that frames it as like when her name comes up to go into elimination, he's like, all of a sudden her meniscus isn't torn anymore because she wants to stay. I don't know if it works like that, but yeah, Tanya is going to end up getting voted into this gauntlet, and it's just insane because so first of all, she's going to go against Steve. Steve is the one that gets voted in for the Road Rules team, which is kind of funny just because he was the one that came up with the system, and now he's getting bit in the ass by his own system. But I don't know, there's just a lot of people that think he's the weakest, even all the way back to origin story for Adam and Steve here, our challenge All-Stars 5 spoiler alert champions, who are Adam is talking about how he wants Steve to be the one to go in, but Tanya and Steve are going to face off in this ultimately it's a puzzle, but it involves going in the water in the gauntlet pool arena to get the pieces out, and Tanya with this torn meniscus is like jumping into the pool like she doesn't have a torn meniscus. So it is insane. She does not walk away victorious. The fact that she's able to walk away at all, I guess, is the good thing for her here. But yeah, Tanya, 2 back-to-back seasons of some sort of injury and not success. Scally.
Yeah, I think Tanya is popping up as a interesting character. I don't know how much she would stand out if we didn't know about future Tanya and her run on the challenge, but still enough of a character that you see why she's getting the call back. It is almost funny how she ends up getting voted in, where it is like Coral and Irulan saying that they or Alton will go in. Actually, it's bullshit. Why will no one else say? Why will no one else go in? This is pathetic. And Norman just it's Nathan that last second is like, Tanya's strong, but she's super injured, so let's all vote her in. And it just last second just turns on her, at least how we're presented it. So, unfortunate for Tanya, but I think that this is the right move. She was not going to recover in the length of the season.
No. And she'll be back plenty. She's not going to be on next season. She will take 1 season off, but she will be back. So we'll have plenty more Tanya to come. But let's keep moving here. Wait, unless Chappell, did you have anything else specifically for Tanya?
Yes, we finally mentioned my favorite crazy person, though. We finally mentioned my favorite insane person, Irulan. Irulan is crazy, and I love her to death. Her being like one of the smallest competitors on this show, and then looking at Tanya and being like, she's hurt, she needs to go in, but instead being like, I guess I'm the only one who's woman enough to stand up and put myself, like the fact that me and Coral are the only one. Okay, Tanya's okay. Well, I guess Tanya, it's you, girl. It's you. I'm sorry. I was like, oh my God, I forgot how crazy Irulan is. She's so good. It's a shame that she's now on every episode of television ever. And
she's dating Alton at this point, or they had dated.
Yes.
Yeah, they're together. They're in the throes of it right now. And so she is in a power couple because Alton is not somebody who anybody wants to vote out of this show anytime soon. And so she will be able to run her mouth in the background as much as she wants with the alliance with Alton and Coral and essentially the Miz. She's in a good spot. But all of this posturing is for nothing. She has no intention of going into the gauntlet.
Well, she has a lot to say in a bunch of these episodes, so I feel like we're getting to something good sometime soon. Haven't quite gotten there yet, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, I love her. I love her so much. I love her so much. Like Arissa is crazy, but Irulan is equally crazy. I love them both.
Well, equally crazy is this challenge, ice cream. Another.
This is an all-time disgusting challenge. I was scarred as a child. Maybe this is why I don't love ice cream. I despise this challenge. I saw it and I was dreading watching this challenge.
Same.
Well, so the setup here, just for anybody that's not watching along, is basically it's so simple. Both teams have a giant bowl of lots of scoops of ice cream. The first team to finish all their ice cream wins. They of course one team has an advantage, if you want to say that right now, because they have more people on the team, they have more stomachs that can be filled. But what is going to ultimately come down to here, or what is going to, be setting Scally off in the way that it is, and Chappell, and anybody that's watching this, is that it's more than just ice cream in the bowl by the time that we get deeper into the challenge, because it's ice cream that's been eaten and then put back into the bowl.
It is
and it's coming out of everywhere.
Sorry for the people listening, but I like that's almost genuine is how disgusted I am by this challenge. It is everyone lining up, hands tied behind their backs, and they're like, oh, eating only one bite at a time isn't fast enough, so we gotta go faster. So people are just lining up, snot dripping from their nose into the bowl of ice cream that they are then just eating, and then because they're eating snot, they are throwing up into the bowl and continuing to just eat and eat their snot and vomit and spit up, and it's horrifying.
Chappell's holding his face right now in disgust, of course. There was one scene of literally, I don't know, I didn't even see who it was because I was looking away, of you see it come back out of someone's mouth in a full like into the bowl, and they had to then, I'm sorry, we watched it, you have to hear about it, someone had to lick that bowl.
Oh, stop it. I hate it so much. It's so
Someone
gross.
had to lick both of the bowls clean. They had to present an empty bowl to the judge or to Johnny Mosley or whatever in order for the team to be done.
I'm trying to stop gag for the listeners, like help, but oh my god, it is so gross. Skip this episode if you're watching along. It's so gross. It has been burned into my brain since I was a child and had the misfortune of watching the Real Road Rules challenge. I have been disgusted for years thinking about this challenge.
It's bad.
It's so gross.
It's really bad. Look, the advantage that the Road Rules team had here, again, of more stomachs available, ends up, I guess, working out for them, because they win this again. Real World, by the way, won the snake soup challenge. They were in the first episode, so they got their win there. Every other challenge so far in these 5 episodes has been won by Road Rules, including the one we'll get to in a second. But this was disgusting, and that's that.
Yep.
Moving on.
I would never even eat ice cream ever. So I would have been voted out immediately because there's no way my face would touch that ice cream. It's just not happening. There's no way. And then that's before they started to vomit and snot all over it. And I understand kind of the direction they're going to go here with the vote. Because once they have the ice cream thing, obviously a lot of them were putting their all into eating that snotty, nasty, vomity ice cream. And some people were not. And I'm sorry, if I even ate a bite of it, you're not voting me out. Sorry, you're gonna have to go to somebody else. And so it's very quickly becoming like, look, I know we said we don't want to vote out all the women, but like I was looking around and the men had the snot-nosed ice cream all in their mouth, and then they eat, like, it was like some of them were head first in it. Y'all gonna have to take the L this time, because there's no way. After that, y'all gonna have to give me at least 10K. I need the money.
I'm not. You're not gonna find me defending men ever in my life, especially in this season. But they were the ones licking those bowls clean.
They were. That's why I was like, you can say whatever you want, but I wouldn't be going into elimination now. No.
Call me Darrell or Katie Dooley in a Heights challenge. I'm not doing it. I'm going straight into the Gauntlet. I don't care. This is horrific. It is so gross. No, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the last challenge that we have left to talk about, and that is Holy Canoe, which is, a good pun for exactly what this challenge is. They have these canoes that are going to be filling up with water that also they start with having tons of water in